Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa, the first child of Errol Musk, a South African electromechanical engineer and property developer, and May Musk, a Canadian-born model and dietitian, and from the very first years of his life, it was clear that he was not an ordinary child. He was relentlessly curious, obsessively interested in books and ideas, and possessed of a mind that processed information differently from the people around him. By the age of 10, Musk had already discovered computers, and by the age of 12, entirely on his own and without any formal instruction, he had taught himself to code in the basic programming language and had created a fully functional video game called Blaster, which he subsequently sold to a South African computing magazine called PC and Office Technology for approximately $500, a transaction that, in hindsight, was the very first business deal made by the man who would one day become the wealthiest person in the history of human civilization. His childhood, however, was far from comfortable or carefree. Musk has spoken openly about being severely bullied at school in South Africa, about enduring a difficult home environment after his parents divorced when he was 9 years old, and about spending much of his formative years retreating into books, reading encyclopedias cover to cover and consuming everything he could find about physics, science fiction, and the nature of the universe. It was during those quiet, solitary hours of reading that Musk developed the intellectual framework that would later drive him to build rockets, electric cars, artificial intelligence companies, brain-computer interfaces, and a tunnel-digging company, because every ambition he ever pursued as an adult can be traced back to ideas he first encountered in the pages of books he read alone as a bullied, bookish boy in Pretoria. In 1989, at the age of 17, Musk made one of the most consequential decisions of his life. He left South Africa and moved to Canada, where he held citizenship through his mother, arriving in the country with approximately $2,000, a backpack, and a suitcase full of books, just as he would later describe on social media, with no connections, no job, and no clear path forward other than an unshakable belief that his future lay somewhere other than South Africa. He briefly enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario, Canada, before transferring to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States, where he earned 2 bachelor's degrees, one in economics from the Wharton School and one in physics, a combination that would prove to be the perfect intellectual foundation for a man who would go on to disrupt both the energy industry and the aerospace industry simultaneously. In 1995, at the age of 24, Musk was accepted into a PhD program in energy physics at Stanford University in California, one of the most prestigious universities in the world, and the conventional path at that point would have been to complete the program, earn the doctorate, and pursue an academic career. But Musk was not a man built for conventional paths. He walked away from Stanford after just 2 days, unable to resist the gravitational pull of the internet boom that was transforming Silicon Valley in real time around him, and with his brother Kimball Musk, he founded a company called Zip2 in 1995, operating it out of a small office in Palo Alto where the two brothers slept on the floor in sleeping bags because they could not afford both office rent and apartment rent at the same time. Zip2 was essentially an online business directory, a digital, searchable version of the Yellow Pages for newspapers. And while it sounds modest by today's standards, it was genuinely innovative for 1995 when the internet was in its infancy, and the company grew rapidly enough to attract serious attention from major technology players. In 1999, the computer hardware company Compaq acquired Zip2 for approximately $307 million in cash, giving Musk a personal payout of around $22 million, a life-changing amount of money for any 27-year-old, and for Musk it was not a moment to relax or enjoy the spoils, but a launch pad for something far more ambitious. He immediately invested $10 million of his Zip2 proceeds into founding X.com in 1999, an online financial services and payment company at a time when the idea of sending money over the internet was still deeply unfamiliar to most consumers, and X.com merged with a competing fintech company called Confinity, co-founded by Peter Thiel, in March 2000, with the combined entity eventually being renamed PayPal after its popular money transfer product proved to be the dominant feature of the business. PayPal grew explosively during the early dot-com era, and in October 2002, the e-commerce giant eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion in stock, delivering Musk a personal share of approximately $180 million and establishing him definitively as a serious player in the world of technology and entrepreneurship. The question for most people at that point would have been where to invest that fortune for the greatest financial return, But Musk, characteristically, was not thinking about financial return at all. He was thinking about Mars, about humanity's survival as a multi-planetary species, and about the fact that NASA had no serious plan to send humans to Mars within any time frame that felt acceptable to him. And so in 2002, he founded Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, SpaceX, investing $100 million of his own PayPal money into a company whose stated mission was nothing less than making humanity a multi-planetary civilization by dramatically reducing the cost of access to space through the development of reusable rocket technology. In 2004, Musk also became the lead investor and chairman of Tesla Motors, a company that had been founded in 2003 by engineers Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, with the mission of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy through the development of premium electric vehicles, and Musk invested approximately $70 million into Tesla and took an active leadership role in the company's product development and strategy. For a few years, both SpaceX and Tesla were progressing with genuine momentum, but by 2008, Musk was facing what he would later describe as the most terrifying period of his life, a moment of simultaneous crisis across both companies that nearly destroyed everything he had built. SpaceX had conducted 3 consecutive Falcon 1 rocket launch attempts between 2006 and 2008, and all 3 had failed catastrophically, burning through enormous amounts of capital and seriously threatening the company's survival, while at the same time Tesla was burning through cash at an unsustainable rate in its effort to bring the Roadster to production. The global financial crisis of 2008 had dried up investment capital across Silicon Valley, and Musk had already poured so much of his own money into both companies that he was personally on the verge of bankruptcy, reportedly having to borrow money from friends just to cover his own living expenses. In September 2008, SpaceX attempted a 4th launch of the Falcon 1 rocket, and this time it worked. The rocket reached orbit successfully, making it the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket in history to reach Earth's orbit. And that single success changed everything, leading to a historic $1.6 billion commercial resupply services contract from NASA in December 2008 that provided SpaceX with the financial oxygen it needed to survive and grow. Around the same time, Tesla secured a crucial Series E round of funding in December 2008, and Musk invested his last $35 million into the company to help complete the round, a decision he made while simultaneously navigating his own near-personal bankruptcy, and which he later described as choosing to risk everything rather than let the companies die. Both companies survived that crucible, and what emerged from that fire was something far more powerful than what had entered it, a Tesla that was now laser-focused on building the world's greatest electric car in the Model S, which launched in 2012 and was immediately recognized as the finest automobile in its class by Consumer Reports and dozens of other automotive publications, not just as an electric vehicle but as the best car, period, redefining what consumers expected from a car and launching Tesla into a new era of credibility and ambition. The Tesla Model 3 followed in 2017 as the company's first mass-market electric vehicle, priced to reach consumers who had never been able to afford the Model S, and it became not just a successful product but a cultural phenomenon, with hundreds of thousands of people placing deposits for a car that had not yet been built, and eventually becoming one of the best-selling cars in the world and the best-selling electric car of its time, fundamentally accelerating the global transition away from internal combustion engines in a way that no government policy or environmental campaign had managed to achieve on its own. At SpaceX, the milestones were equally breathtaking. In December 2015, the company achieved something that had been considered virtually impossible by the aerospace establishment when it successfully landed an orbital-class Falcon 9 rocket booster back on a landing pad after launch, completing the first successful recovery of an orbital rocket booster in history, and proving that reusable rockets were not just a dream but an engineering reality, which immediately began to drive the cost of space launch down in a way that fundamentally transformed the global space industry. In February 2018, SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy, the most powerful operational rocket in the world at the time, and in a moment of pure Musk theatricality, placed his own cherry-red Tesla Roadster into a solar orbit as the test payload, with a spacesuit-clad mannequin named Starman in the driver's seat, an image that circled the globe and captured the imagination of millions. In May 2020, SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft carried NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to the International Space Station, making SpaceX the first private company in history to launch humans to orbit from American soil, a moment that marked the beginning of a new era in commercial human spaceflight. Meanwhile, Starlink, SpaceX's ambitious constellation of low Earth orbit satellites designed to provide high-speed, low-latency broadband internet to every corner of the globe, had grown from a concept into a service with over 9 million subscribers by the end of 2025, providing internet access to remote and underserved communities in over 100 countries and generating billions of dollars in revenue for SpaceX annually. By July 2020, Tesla had become the most valuable car company in the world by market capitalization, overtaking Toyota and every other traditional automaker, and by January 2021, Elon Musk had become the richest person on Earth, surpassing Amazon founder Jeff Bezos with a net worth that had grown from near bankruptcy in 2008 to over $150 billion, and which would continue to climb to extraordinary levels in the years that followed. Beyond Tesla and SpaceX, Musk founded Neuralink in 2016, a neurotechnology company developing brain-computer interface implants that aim to treat neurological conditions and ultimately enable humans to interface directly with computers, with the company conducting its first human trials in 2024. He founded The Boring Company to build underground tunnel networks designed to relieve traffic congestion in major cities, and in 2023 he founded xAI, an artificial intelligence company whose flagship product is a chatbot called Grok, which he positioned as a more truth-seeking and less politically constrained alternative to ChatGPT and other AI systems. In October 2022, Musk completed his acquisition of the social media platform Twitter for $44 billion. Subsequently renaming the platform X and describing his vision for it as becoming the world's everything app, a vision that brought enormous controversy, advertiser departures, and public debate, but which Musk pursued with the same relentless conviction he had applied to every other venture in his career. In January 2025, following Donald Trump's return to the presidency of the United States, Musk was appointed to lead the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, known by its acronym DOGE, which was established by executive order on January 20, 2025, with the mandate of cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government, with Musk's team claiming to have saved taxpayers over $170 billion through its work. As of February 2026, Elon Musk stands as the wealthiest person in the history of the modern world, with estimates of his net worth ranging from approximately $676 billion according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index to over $830 billion according to Statista, driven by the extraordinary combined value of his stakes in Tesla, SpaceX, which was valued at approximately $400 billion following its planned merger with xAI in early 2026, and his other ventures, making his journey from a bullied, bookish boy in Pretoria who arrived in North America at 17 with $2,000 and a backpack one of the most extraordinary personal transformations in the history of human ambition.